about situation to make them feel more empowered. More often than not, we stuck in a pattern that either we're not able to identify. Sometimes we identify the pattern, but we don't know how to break it. And even if I've been able to break it, I don't know what alternative I want to take in. So counseling or a psychotherapy is a process which will take you through these whole range of issues and make you feel more empowered. Counseling is one of the first rules that we taught when we're learning about counseling is that we are not advice givers. As a therapist, I'm not there to tell you ki nahi, you should do this. As a simple rule of thumb, what is to keep in mind is that the client always decides what he needs to change. The role of a therapist is to help them empower how I want to go about changing it. That is the role of therapist, not tell that if a couple comes in saying that we are having problem and we want to divorce, my job as a therapist is not to tell them no, you can't break a marriage, baki log kya kahenge, what are the repercussions in your family. Yes, of course I can take through them to make sure that they have taken an informed decision and it's not a decision taken in the heat of a moment. But whether it's an appropriate decision, inappropriate decision, they are the best judge of it. My job as a therapist is to take them through the spectrum and they decide what they want to do. And I then can equip them to deal with that decision in the best productive and the most efficient manner. So counseling and psychotherapy are like sisters primarily, where counseling is little less intensive and more to do with routine issues, maybe something like a time management or a lifestyle assessment or something like that. Psychotherapy is little more in-depth, where we are actually taking through the client this entire process, which I will be talking about, and a little more intensive and may take a little longer duration than only counseling. The simple process of counseling, objective like I said, is to help client change his perspective, empower them to be able to make an informed decision and to deal with it. The process is very simple. At any point when we go in for counseling, the first thing that we need to do is establish a goal. Why am I here? Why has the client approached you? And therefore, as a layman, when you are approaching counselors, your first few sessions need to probably focus on this aspect. Maybe first session, that what has brought the client here? What are you there for? So it's very important. You can't go and say, हाँ बस मुझे it's important to establish that the client has understood what is the process like. So the first is to establish the goal. The next is selecting strategies. So to go back to that example of my couple who's come in for counseling. So their goal probably is we want to take a divorce, but we want to do it amicably and we want to sort out this anger we have against each other. Let's assume that is the goal that they have come up with. So then my job as a therapist, having established this goal, my next is to help them sort out what is this anger about, what are the repercussions or consequences that they wish to change. So going into a little bit more of specificity always helps, because then it becomes more tangible. मैं अगर पहले उनके साथ हर आधे घंटे में गुस्सा होती थी, after this I'm getting angry at them only once a week, which is a tangible difference. So it's important if we can specify the goals in little tangible terms. And how are we going to go about it? Now the strategy is dependent on what approach the counselor has taken. Each counselor have their own way of working. They take through different kind of therapies. If for example there is a cognitive behavior therapy, or there is a Gestalt approach, there is an Adlerian approach. So depending on what approach the counselor has taken, your strategies will be dependent on that. Next is implementation. So having selected that, okay, I want to work on my thoughts. I want to try and generate more positive thoughts about my husband, about the situation that I am in. The next is I teach them actually how do they go about doing that. So I teach them the techniques. That okay, if you get angry, maybe this is what you can do. Try that for 3 weeks, try this for 3 days or 1 week or whatever the time slot the counselor will feel appropriate, he will recommend it to you. And the next step is to come back with it. And to say कि भाई हाँ ये काम हो रहा है, ये नहीं हो रहा है. The process is actually very similar when we go to our physician. मुझे बुखार आ है, the doctor will give you medicine and he will tell you, okay, 2 दिन ये दवाई लीजिए, बाद में revert to me if it still persists. It's something similar to that. but it happens at a cognitive level, and therefore depending on the number of goals you have put it down and what are the strategies implemented, your number of sessions will differ on that. So that is basically the whole process of counseling, where we establish goal, we select how we want to go about changing that behavior or attitude, actually going out in the real world, implementing that strategy, coming back with a feedback, and whether is it working or it's not working. If it is not working, you have to say that no, I'm not still able to do it. That means that there is something more that needs to be done. And we go through the again process 2, 3 and 4 steps all over again. Next is alternative healings. The reason why I have taken both is because alternative healings is based on a lot of new age philosophy, as they call it right now, and actually in India it is probably one of the oldest schools of teaching which has now come back with this generation, and it is coming up pretty widely. Now, what is the whole philosophy of alternative healings? It is the one that I mentioned when I was talking about spiritual healing. Alternative healers believe that all of us are basically masses of energies, and therefore all of us have a vibration attached to ourselves, and any kind of physical illness or any kind of emotional trauma is primarily a response to this faulty energy vibrations. When all of us are born with pure energies of love and light, and therefore our vibrations and energy are in sync with that happy feeling, happy experience that we earlier did. However, as we grow up, depending on our lifestyle, the beliefs that we cultivate, our experiences, things that we've been taught, these energies go through a lot of shifts. And therefore, as the energy shifts, sometimes we are not allowed to experience energies as they are supposed to be, and therefore we start repressing, and the energy blocks starts occurring in our energy systems. The whole concept of 7 chakras and chakra healing is what it talks about. And therefore, when all of these blocks keep on occurring again and again, they become denser and denser, and the denser they become, the more difficult your life becomes, because you're not utilizing your maximum potential. You may actually have the ability to live a very happy and healthy life, but because I'm stuck in a past experience where this energy has been stunted, because I was not allowed to get angry at my mother, I am going out getting angry with all my girlfriends, because they are easy target, and therefore all my peer relationship is in trouble today. I'm not able to get good work because of that. I'm suffering professionally, I'm suffering personally, but the root cause is very different. So when I go back to that experience and I release this energy, all of these things automatically fall into place, because I no longer need to repress this emotion. I no longer have that energy block in me that is causing me to shift my focus somewhere else. And all alternative healings primarily focus on this, to change your blocked energy centers or to your unhealthy energy vibrations to a more healthy energetic vibrations. Some of the alternative healings that we talk about today are crystal therapy, angel therapy, chakra healing and balancing. There's magnet therapy. There are lots many that keep on coming. Tarot is one of them. Hypnotherapy is more of a complementary rather than a completely alternative therapy, because it still has a little scientific approach and explanation to it. So it's considered as complementary therapy, whereas the others that I mentioned are all part of our alternative healings. Very important, the right time. Before I started this talk, I was discussing here with this gentleman about a lot of misconceptions related to who needs counseling, and does everybody require counseling, and questions related to that. Now, like I have said, that one of what I have listed here are general rule of thumbs that we can keep in mind. The first one is that when we realize that when we are experiencing a sudden shift in the way we are working in our professional, personal or academic scenarios, which we realize that is not for our optimum functionality, We realize that we are actually can be more productive, but we're not able to deliver our best, or there is a lot of discomfort while we're doing it, is one very important time when we all can seek counseling or any of the healing modalities. Change in daily functioning that may be hindering our personal growth. I've suddenly become very withdrawn. Or alternatively, I've suddenly started going out and partying every night. I start going out with different kind of people randomly. I just can't stay alone anymore. Or suddenly somebody who is very quiet suddenly starts talking randomly. Now all these are our part of our daily personalities, but are not necessarily that we have been like. That when we see that sudden shift which we can't really explain, it's good to go back and explore where this shift has come from. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is a problem, but it just means that we need to sit back and reflect on what has caused this sort of a shift. The next is feeling that you're stuck in a situation with no way out. Most simple example to give here is the kind of work culture that we are in today. Everybody feels that, oh, I just can't leave the job that I am in. If I leave this job, how will I pay my bills? How will I live the lifestyle that I have? And all those limitations are simply in your mind. It's all about choosing and sorting your priorities and figuring out which way I want to go. But because we feel that, oh, this lifestyle is so important to me, and unless I do this every Friday night, or unless I go and shop in a particular place, I will not be happy. Now all of these are a pattern where you're stuck in. You keep on changing your job thinking that, oh no, this is a less demanding job, but you realize 6 months down in the new job, you've got stuck again in the same rut. Or you're stuck in a bad relationship and you feel that, no, okay, I've sorted it out and I've broken up with this guy. 6 months down the line, you meet another man and you realize, oops, I'm again in a similar pattern. So when you're able to realize that you're stuck in a similar pattern that you want to break but you're not able to, is a good time to seek counseling. Or if you're in an emotional roller coaster ride, you have no idea what's going on around you. One day you are experiencing a lot of mood swings. One day you feel you're on top of the world. The other day you feel that you're down in the dumps. Or you have a very volatile relationships with yourself, with your professional life. If you're happy with that kind of thing, great. But if you're not and you feel that you want little more stability, little more peace in your life, then it's time to seek a little bit of help. Or it could be converse, you feel that you have a very bored life and your life is not going anywhere and you need a little bit of an emotional roller coaster ride. Even then it's a good time to go and seek counseling. Basically, counseling, you can seek counseling or undergo healing at any point where you feel that you need some sort of a shift in your life, or you're seeking some sort of an answer, but answers are not coming forth in your day-to-day life or in the interactions that you've been having so far in your